You're told that she's being sensitive, shy, a little dramatic. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the signs of autism have been hiding in plain sight and nobody's noticed? Hi, I'm Dr. James Thatcher. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist up in Portland, Oregon, and I specialize in giving autism evaluations to children, teens, young adults, pretty much throughout the lifetime. And today, I'm going to be talking about how autistic girls are often missed and how to recognize the signs of autism early. So, why do girls often get missed in autism diagnoses? Well, most of the research that we have out there is on males, and girls often present differently, especially if they're highly verbal, intelligent, and very socially aware. Girls also tend to mask or mimic in order to fit in with different social groups. Another common behavior that girls do that leads them to get overlooked is that they internalize a lot of their distress instead of acting out. So it's hidden and we can't see it. Girls also tend to show more socially accepted interests versus their male counterparts. And on top of all of that, they can often be misdiagnosed with anxiety, depression, or even border personality disorder. And that's not to say that girls can't have these other disorders too. But sometimes anxiety, depression, BPD, borderline personality disorder, can mask some of the symptoms of autism if you don't have a trained clinician that can see past that and through that and see the cracks that would be apparent to a trained clinician. So now let's talk about some hidden signs for you to look for. Hidden sign number one is masking or mimicking. Your daughter, your student, whatever girl that you're thinking of that might be on the autism spectrum might present that they're socially skilled. But look a little bit closer, and what you may see is that they're rehearsing conversations, copying others, or planning out their responses to other people. And this is called masking. And believe me, it is exhausting for her. And I've heard this sort of story from a lot of different parents who talk to me about their daughter and how they'll notice when they walk by the bathroom or by their room, their daughter is in there holding a full-on conversation, but it's just them in there. And when they stop and notice and pay attention, like what are they saying? All they're doing is replaying conversations that they had throughout the day, or how they would respond, and how the other person would respond, and how they would respond to that. They're practicing. And this is exhausting for them. Hidden sign number two is emotional sensitivity. Autistic girls often feel very deeply. They may cry easily, worry about being liked, and internalize the rejection. And this sensitivity is often seen as being too emotional. Let me give another example to try to put this in perspective for you. So I had a parent share one time that their daughter came home and was crying. And after their daughter calmed down a little bit, they found out why. The reason is that another girl at school was having a birthday party and invited a number of other people, but not her. This girl had only known her for a short period of time, maybe a couple of weeks, but still she felt very rejected. And I want to emphasize that this wasn't her being too emotional. This was real, actual pain. This was extremely hurtful for her. And one of the cracks in this story that I was alluding to before for trained clinicians to look at is, yes, a lot of teenage girls face rejection. A lot of teenage girls will internalize rejection and feel a lot of distress, especially if they're left out. But what this teenage girl wasn't quite picking up on is she wanted to fit in, yes, but she wasn't quite understanding the social nuance of the situation to where she probably needed a longer established relationship with this girl in order to be invited. versus just knowing her for a short period of time. She wasn't quite getting that concept. Hidden sign number 3 is social camouflage. They may have friends, but it's often very intense, short lived, and not genuine friendships. And that's the thing. Girls with autism often feel like they're performing versus genuinely connecting with the other person. So during testing, when I'm giving an autism evaluation, I'll often ask about friendships. And I've had girls tell me that they have loads of friends at school, but then I find out a couple of different things. When I ask a little bit more, they can't name a single one. Or they do name a lot of different people. Then later on, I'll find out from the parent, or when I ask even more questions, that they're just listing people off in the classroom. And another hidden sign that I often see is that girls tend to try to just keep it all together while they're out in public. So let me give you an example. I've worked with a couple of different families to where this was the case, to where at school, she was able to keep it together. There was no emotional outbursts, everything was fine. But right when she got home, meltdown, crying, withdrawing, screaming. But then when I talked to the teacher, everything's fine at school. She behaves, she asks questions, she's astute, her grades are doing well, she doesn't cause any trouble. So she flies under the radar and gets missed. So stick around, guys. I've got a part 2 to this series on girls on the spectrum, to where I'm going to talk about 4 more hidden signs in girls with autism, including special interests, internalized meltdowns, and perfectionism. And if you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and hit that button. It really helps me out. And when the next video comes out, you'll know about it. All right. Bye-bye, guys.